Hello friends, hope everybody's doing well. Today we are going to talk about the loved and hated Floyd rose, specifically strings and some tricks to try to keep these to stay a little bit better. Hope you'll stick around and check it out. Hello folks, Ray here. Hope everybody is doing well. Today we're going to talk about the loved and hated Floyd rose. There are many different variations to the Floyd rose. As you probably already know, this one here is a special, well, it's actually called the Floyd rose special, made for Schecter, for the Sun Valley Schecter line and some of the other ones that they made here. Not quite as durable as some of the more traditional, the original Floyd rose that was made. It does the job, but definitely not as sturdy or reliable, I would say, as the original. You probably also have dealt with this. My favorite thing in the whole world, a little string comes off. I will say, however, that this and other type of Floyd rose, not the originals, but this kind of copy and some other type of copies that I've come across before seem to be a little bit more prone to this type of issue with string slippage versus the original. For some reason, the original seems to be a little bit stronger, more durable, better made, better quality parts. This one here is very temperamental. I'd say at first, for the first, I'd say maybe year or so, everything seemed to be working fine, and now it seems to be riddled with all sorts of little issues that I seem to be fighting with. Primarily this thing. Constantly going out of tune now, constantly slipping strings. This floating thing will randomly kind of go up and down based on I don't know what. You know, sometimes factors such as humidity and weather and stuff can definitely play a part in strings. This one here is definitely a little bit more temperamental. What we're going to talk about is a little trick that you can use to keep this string or these strings from popping out of the saddle in here. Let's go ahead and take a look in here a little bit deeper, kind of see what we're dealing with, and then dive in and see if we can't fix this problem. Okay, as you remembered, right in here, the issue we had, I'd say the number one problem that we see is the fact that folks, and you've probably been told this a million times, so I won't harp on that, but this right here, your bolt here, when you're tightening this, if you're tightening it too much, what can actually happen is it can put pressure against that little pin there and actually sever and cut, or it's gonna, basically it's crushing the string. So you want to make sure that you're just, when you're tightening this up here, tighten it with your finger, and then when you use your tool, just give it about 1/8 of a turn there. You don't want to go too much, again, because you could crush it. Number two, what you want to make sure you're doing is sometimes we see in here, right in the space where the new string goes, if you're not checking, you can actually find a piece of the old string in there. So you want to make sure that you clean that out. A lot of times what happens when that snaps, it's still connected. And because the piece is so small, it doesn't have much trouble kind of staying in there. So you want to make sure that you're cleaning that out. Another thing also, you want to make sure that this part right here, you want to make sure that this piece right here, that little block there, is actually floating. You want to make sure that when you back this out and you unscrew this, you want to make sure that this piece right here can actually float around. You don't want it tight. You want it to be able to kind of move around in there. So when you got your string here, you want to go ahead and put it down into the slot, push it down to the bottom so that it's touching the bottom. You don't want it halfway, you don't want it just so it's touching, you want to make sure that it's flat and square against this piece right here so that it slides right down in there. Another trick you can do is when you get your strings out, you see how it's cut here and none of the wiring or binding from the string is still on here. What you can do is some folks like to actually cut it right at the tip where the little bar is there, and what you're getting is that extra winding, and you can put that in the slot. Some folks don't recommend it because that winding can kind of break off and really not make a close, a smooth connection there between that little block and your string. So I pretty much still go with just cut it at the end and then just put it right inside that little slot there. And then when you're tightening, make sure again you're just using your finger tight, and then when you take your tool and you actually tighten it up, again, you just want to give it, oops, sorry. You just want to give it about 1/8 of a turn. Once you've got it finger tight, just give it a little bit more. Just make it snug. And if 1/8 feels too far, don't do it. I would say just enough to where it's just snug, because what actually happens is these tighten up as you're playing, as your string stretches, as everything really kind of gets gelled to where it needs to be. This will actually get even tighter. You notice sometimes when you take these off, it actually kind of snaps it, you know, when you're doing it, they actually tighten up a little bit more. So again, you don't want to over tighten these. I'm sure you've heard that a million times, and you can do that with all your different strings. So I'm hoping this will fix my little problem here. Not really sure what's causing it. Again, maybe there was something inside. I'm going to get a little my tiny little air canister and blow that up, make sure there's nothing inside, make sure it's free floating, make sure there's nothing inside there again, and then I'll go ahead and pop this in. Okay, got that string in there now. You can see it's flush right up on that last, right in the middle there. As I have the other ones set up too, I've got them right up in the middle there. And when I cinched it down here, again, just finger tight, and then give it a little turn there, and we are tightened up right now. Give it a try here in a minute and make sure that it sticks, and hopefully this one will be the one that holds it. Again, making sure that there's nothing inside there, making sure that the little bar here was nice and free floating, and made sure that I got everything cleaned out and tightened it up. Give it about a little eighth of an, maybe not even eighth. It was just a little snug, just a touch, and it holds just fine. So I hope this was helpful, and hope this will hold too. We'll give it a try. Thanks a lot for coming by. We'll talk to you later. Bye.